In the studio with us this morning, we have my friend Dwayne McIntyre. He is the chairman of the Russell County, Virginia GOP. How you doing this morning, Dwayne?
Hey, I'm doing real good, George. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Can you hear the headphones okay? Is everything set up all right? Just up a hair? Is that good? Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. It is 8:07. We've got a cloudy sky, and it's right there, hanging in there, 32, 33 degrees right now, so you want to watch those bridges this morning. And I was at I spoke at a Tea Party meeting Thursday a week ago, and Dwayne was there and spoke, and I thought it was about time to invite him on the show and get an update on this Food Freedom Act. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. But first of all, I want to ask you first of all, thank you. I need to silence my phone there. Okay, I need to thank you. You brought in some beefs. Were they actually steaks that you brought in?
Yeah, I brought you in some ribeye. Some ground beef.
That's our favorite, and it's like what's the word? It's grass grown and
grass finished, grass fed.
Doesn't have the pesticides and stuff that what's that word I'm looking for that my wife won't let me eat all the time? It's got to be organic. Yeah.
Well, it's we're not officially organic, but at Rafi Cattle Company, that's the farm I manage. We are grass-fed, grass-finished, and we basically raise them as natural as it comes.
They're not all shot full of all those hormones and all that stuff.
No way.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's so that means that I don't have to sneak into my back in the back of in my studio to eat it. I can Tina and I can both enjoy.
Oh yeah.
This.
Yeah,
so that is fantastic. And then you brought some eggs. And
free range.
Free range eggs. Okay, so I can eat those. She'll let me eat those. I don't have to sneak around and eat the eggs. So,
no doubt.
Honey, I'm coming home with the bacon, so to speak, because thanks to
beef
Dwayne.
Bacon.
Yeah, and it's because you gave it to me. It's legal, right? No, there's not going to be a SWAT team coming here, right?
No. Well, see, with the beef, we have our beef inspected by a federal or state facility. So it's got an inspection which allows us to sell publicly to the public. So the beef is clear as long as we pay the middleman.
Okay.
And the eggs are clear also. So
and this is not payola. I didn't know you were going to do this. It's just a complete gift. So
oh yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to express my gratitude of how grateful I am for you supporting us and allowing us to come on the show and get this message out. So.
Well, I believe in the cause. It's just another case of big government, and in this case, getting involved with big corporations and hurting the little guy. In this case, it's the little farmer. It is 10 minutes after 8 o'clock, and there have been these raids where these almost like militarized police come in and raid these small farms. And if you know me, if you've heard me very long at all, I'm very much into local law enforcement, getting to know them and so forth. And but some of these people they got to do what the boss says, and the boss says go raid this farm, and it's like a SWAT team will come in and the poor milk farmer. Yeah. We've got one little newsreel we want to play here just to kind of give you a flavor. This is up in Wisconsin, but this has happened much closer to home, and we'll roll this tape now.
NBC 15 News at 10.
Now at 10, just one day after a raid on his farm, a local man goes back to selling raw milk. A Loganville dairy farmer is ignoring the state's orders to stop selling raw milk.
Just a day after his farm is raided, he reopens despite the risk of penalties. NBC 15's Chris Woodard reports.
Business is booming at Vernon Hirschberger's farm.
I'll show you.
Customers are lining up in record numbers to get their hands on his raw milk. Illegal raw milk.
We should have the right to choose what types of foods and what types of drinks that we want to put into our bodies.
Inside his store, the tags and tape tell a much more uncertain story. Orders from the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection to shut the business down. Orders Hirschberger is ignoring despite the risk.
We believe this is our right to do this, and we have a lot of families that feel that way. There's a lot of families going to go without food that they need to have for their families if we shut down.
Wednesday, state inspectors raided the farm with a search warrant.
While serving the warrant, they not only put tags and tape on the coolers inside the store, they came in here where people actually get their raw milk out of a tank, and they poured a dye inside the tank.
Hirschberger promptly cleaned out the tank, broke the seals, and started selling again this morning.
We're not in the business of shutting down farmers and ruining people's lives, but we are a public health agency, and, you know, the public expects us to look after food.
The state's complaint is it's illegal to sell raw milk, and Hirschberger shouldn't be selling anything without a dairy license. But Hirschberger says his status as a private club where members pay yearly dues exempts him from needing a dairy license, so he ignores the orders.
Let's put it this way, it certainly doesn't make his situation any better.
I am worried, but I have a lot of support.
Support he may soon need. In Loganville, Chris Woodard, NBC 15 News.
And one thing that is important to note here, even if Governor Doyle had signed a raw milk bill into law last month, Hirschberger would have still been breaking the law because he doesn't have that dairy license. It'll be up to the...
Okay, that's a news report from up in Wisconsin, but this type of thing is happening all over America. And so what's wrong with regulation, Dwayne? You know, they just want people to be healthy.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, this is just a small story. We want to do dairy really bad. You know, there's a huge demand for local cheeses, butters, and stuff. So we looked into it, and there's a system, some ingenuitive farmers, you know, created a micro dairy system. It's a really cheap, $15,000 for the system, you know, micro dairy system to meet all regulations, but be affordable for people to milk, you know, 3 to 5 cows is all we're looking to milk. And so, you know, we called up the dairy inspectors here in the state and called them out, and they came out to the farm. And, you know, the guy was really excited, and, you know, we have a nice farm. It's a beautiful-looking farm. My boss has a nice spread. And so, you know, he's looking at it going, money, you know, shit, rubbing his hands together. And so we're walking around. We spent about an hour talking about establishing this dairy on the farm. He was really excited. And then I guess something tipped him off that I was only going to milk 3 or 5 cows. And he looked at me completely cross-eyed and was just like, you're going to spend $500,000 to milk 3 to 5 cows? And then I was just like, no, we're going to do the micro dairy. And he basically never heard of the micro dairy before, completely got a look on his face like I just wasted his day, just completely disgusted with me, and left my farm. And so then called me back the next morning, almost defeated because he looked into it, found out that this system is regulatory, meets all regulatory standards, and then basically said, yeah, I guess we got to work with you. You know, so the 2 points that we learned really fast from just having the dairy inspectors out was, one, it cost $500,000 just to sell a gallon of milk at market.
Wow. That's
impossible for anybody. You know, the first 12 rungs of the ladder are missing for guys like us. And two, you know, these people really aren't there to help and to aid the production and the production of entrepreneurship and the production of these farm dairies in any form. You know, they got these big scale corporate models in their mind, and everybody else is kind of just annoyance and a nuisance to them. So, you know, we tried to engage, and it seemed really problematic every step of the way. So basically, we're backing off. And we're just going to see how some of this legislation going into Richmond this year kind of does before we re-engage, because we still do want to do the dairy, and we'll do it any way we can. But you know, it's not through the state is just not, you know.
Well, so why was the state guy disappointed because you're not doing a big operation?
I can't imagine any other reason other than maybe it's just, you know, outside of his job description. You know, he's got a standard, a routine. I'm not sure. You know, I really don't get why it was frowned upon to, you know, want to start up a small dairy that meets all the regulation, that, you know, would add business to the local economy and, you know, and help pull farmers, you know, and set models for small farmers like us to maybe mimic and you know, and bring more people into that.
So it is possible for a small farmer with just a few cows to sell raw milk to the public. Is that correct?
If not raw milk. Raw milk is absolutely illegal. Our business model was not going to get into milk because I'm not interested in pasteurized milk so much. We were going to do cheeses, butters, and yogurts. So we were going to kind of opt out of the raw milk until we could eventually get some kind of.
So how does that work? Would your cheeses and yogurts and all that stuff, would that be pasteurized?
Well, the process of making cheese and yogurt,
it's automatic?
Yeah, you got to heat it up, and it goes, so there is a natural pasteurization within the process of making those products. The butter, yeah, I guess we would have to pasteurize it first, but it would still be farm fresh. It'd be way more healthier than anything you can buy from the industry itself in their big CAFO models where there's like 200 cows on 50 acres and they all live in the same muck.
And sometimes it comes a long way. It's transported a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a refrigerated truck across several states and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, okay. What if I want raw milk? How do I get it?
Well, I think right now in Virginia, the only way that you can get raw milk is by buying your own cow and milking it.
But I don't have room for a cow.
Yeah, well, then you can buy your own cow and then rent from a farmer his land to keep your cow and then pay him to milk it for you.
That would cost me $85 a gallon.
It gets up there. I mean, it's not the cheapest way to do it, but there is some really diligent people who desire to have raw milk that bad that they will buy into a herd share and then hire a farmer to take care of their cows, milk them for them.
Okay, you're down to $26 a gallon.
Yeah, well, it's a
so I can't. There's no law that it looks like to me there should be some kind of legislation. We're talking about Virginia. You're in Virginia, but I'm sure some of the same hurdles happen in Tennessee and other states that might be listening. Like right, yeah.
Well, there are 29 now. I don't have a fresh list in my mind, but there are 29 states in our country that allow the sale of raw milk. I mean, we are just on the fringe of this, Gestapo control of small farmers. I mean, it's just.
Well, why don't the state legislatures, especially is Tennessee one of those?
Oh God,
you don't know?
Yeah.
Well, if it's not, why don't the state legislators just come up with a law in Virginia as well that says I can sign a little form. And I can buy the raw milk from the small dairy farmer that's got the 3 or 4 cows, and I will take all responsibility for something that happens to me, and I guess there should be some kind of they should have some kind of inspection. Do you agree with that, or
Well, see, I think that the inspection just what it does is just it adds a bureaucracy to the process, which inflates the price. It inflates the product and deteriorates the quality ultimately because.
Okay, well then I'll go inspect it. I'll go and see if there's cow turds all over the place or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're calling for. One of the bills, the Food Freedom Act. It's HB129.
Yeah.
Basically, this is just adult to adult transactions. Everybody assumes all their own accountability.
Yeah.
And just a label that says. That this product is not inspected, and then you as a grown adult living in the land of the free, the home of the brave, can make the decision or not whether or not you want to buy milk that's uninspected from a local farmer or go to the store and buy the milk that's deemed safe by the federal government.
I think that's a good law, but if they come back and say, well, it's just not good enough, then I would be willing to sign a statement that I'm responsible for my own life, but I want to buy raw milk, and I might pay a little more than I would at the local store or whatever, but I want to buy raw milk, and I'll sign the statement. And what's wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with that?
There shouldn't be. That's the whole reason we're farmers is because we wanted to. Get raw milk. I mean, that was the whole reason. I mean, I've never anticipated being a farm manager of a nice size grass finished beef company. I mean, we always wanted to own our own farm, but we always thought it would be smaller, it would be less, profitable. And
well, I mean, we're going to go back to the same principle as I've been talking about all morning, It doesn't affect. You're out there saying it doesn't affect me. I don't want raw milk, so why should I care? But it's called freedom. It's called liberty. It's called the freedom to buy what you want. And there are a lot of people that want raw milk because if it's from what I understand, Dwayne, if you keep things clean and you do it right, it's probably going to be a lot healthier than pasteurized milk.
Well, see, pasteurization, the whole process kills off everything. That's why when you look on the bottle,
all the good bacteria.
Yeah, the good bacteria. Not only that, but it strips out all the actual nutrition of it too. Because if you look at every gallon of milk says, pasteurized, homogenized, and fortified with vitamin D and and whatnot. And milk naturally has vitamin D and calcium in it.
Yeah.
So to fortify, so what they're doing is they're totally killing it, devoiding it of nutrition, and then they have to add it back in the sterile product just to give.
So it's just not as good for you. Okay, let's go to the phones at 8:22. We've got a cloudy sky and shooting for some sunshine later this afternoon. We're back up to 33. Vanessa, would you like to join our conversation this morning?
I sure would, George. I may have a solution for you. Instead of putting a cow on your property, I used to raise Nubian goats, okay? And they've got fantastic milk. They're naturally homogenized. But I used to raise them and sell to my neighbors the extra milk that came from them. And they were infants because it's naturally homogenized. They don't react to goat's milk as they do cow's milk.
Yeah.
I used to sell it to the elderly in the neighborhood.
Well,
are you in Virginia?
No, this is in Ohio, and it was 20 years ago, back in the old days.
See,
but but it was something that was a lot smaller than a cow, and like I said, goat's milk is fantastic. As far as being a raw natural milk.
Yeah,
okay, and I even think better than cow's milk. So if you don't have the property or the money for a cow, goats are fantastic alternatives.
Yeah, well, she's absolutely right, and the one thing I'd point out about what she's saying is 20 years ago, this is the way of life in our country. Not even a half of a century ago. I mean, the government up until the latter end of the 1900s did not feel that it was in its jurisdiction to dictate to everybody what they were allowed and not allowed to eat. You talk to older people in our region and like Vanessa here, they remember a day. That's how they grew up. That's how they lived. They bought milk from their neighbors. The neighbor boy delivered it to their house from the farm in a farm wagon. There was no checks and balances, and everybody did fine. I mean, milk is a civilization staple.
What if I want to be a small goat milk farmer? Same rules?
Yeah. There's just nothing. See what happened, and I remember talking about this last time I was here, in Virginia specifically, but this happened a lot. When the government came in, they subsidized tobacco, and they said, this is a guaranteed money. You grow tobacco, you'll get a guaranteed paycheck. And so everybody converted over to tobacco. Well, while everybody was doing tobacco, the industry came in. They set out all these hard regulations. It didn't affect nobody because nobody was doing farmers markets, roadside stands, and average small dairies, and they were all focused on tobacco. And then they pulled the tobacco plug, and then they can't go back to the farming that they did before they went into tobacco
because of all the regulations.
Yes.
And I want to say this. The point is Vanessa, may have solved my problem. She's trying to help me.
Yeah.
I have just to right at an acre of land.
That's
and
perfect for a goat. Actually.
For a goat, we could have a goat. And so she solved my problem. Goat's milk, good for you, all this kind of stuff. Tina, my wife, loves goat's milk. She likes everything about goats. In fact, she probably wants to have one in our bedroom, as a pet or something. But anyway, but see, I don't like goat's milk. I like cow's milk.
Yeah.
I want to buy cow's milk. I want to buy raw cow's milk, but it's illegal. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like this deal with Michelle Obama. She wants to regulate what our kids eat in school, and to the degree it's just ridiculous. It's the one good thing that the Obamas has done to help the conservative movement is to tell kids what they can't eat in school, And it's like, you can educate people, but don't take our food away. And she's got these kids on these low calorie diets, and the kids are starving in school. And liberals are supposed to feed the starving, but they're starving.
Yeah.
The kids, and it's backfiring all over the place. But don't tell my kids what they're going to eat. Don't tell me what I'm going to eat. Don't tell me I can't buy raw milk. And that's what's going on. Let's go back to the phones. Here's Jen at 827. Jen, what say you this morning?
Good morning. I just wanted to let you know that actually in the state of Tennessee, you can sell raw milk, but it's got to have a label on it for animal use only. So you can buy your cat milk and you can buy your dog milk. And
You're kidding me.
There is a dairy farm in Johnson City, and you can go there and you can get your animal milk. Now, what you do with it when you get home, obviously, is your choice. So they have found a way around that.
Yeah, actually.
So you can go online and actually find.
To buy raw milk in Tennessee, I've got to go get a cat.
Yeah,
I've got to have a cat. Well, I'm not
actually, my friend brings raw milk to church because we live close to North Carolina and she's closer to Johnson City. So when she brings milk to church, I actually looked and it says for animal use only.
Only, yeah.
And so that is how they got around it. But in North Carolina, it's also illegal to sell raw milk. But so there is a gleam of hope in Tennessee that you can buy your animal milk. Okay.
Yeah, well, see, the animals can, nobody cares about the animals enough.
Well, sometimes Tina calls me an animal, so so there you go.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, that up in Pennsylvania, I'm from Pennsylvania originally, that was the workaround. I mean, that's how I got my raw milk, was going to the natural food store and buying pet food. And again, that's the same thing when they sell it to you. That's exactly what they say. They say, whatever you do with it after you leave the store is all on you. And it was 100% organic, grass-fed pet food.
So I can buy raw milk in Tennessee, but not in Virginia, probably.
I have not seen it.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that it's not
there
somewhere.
But in Tennessee, I can buy raw milk as long as I have a cat. So I got to get I'm not a cat person. I'm a dog guy. But
dogs like milk, too.
Well, Tina won't let me have a dog because she's afraid the dog's going to get cold in the winter. So she won't let me. You're going to think I'm really henpecked once this show's over because she won't let me eat what I want to, won't let me have a dog. But she's still a wonderful person, and she lets me have all kinds of stuff. And
I'll tell you, she's going to give you a quality of life that you probably wouldn't be getting.
That's right. She makes me eat healthy. But so I'll get a barn cat. I believe in barn cats.
Yeah, they need milk too.
Yeah, so I'm going to get me a barn cat, and so then I can get my raw milk. And believe me, I want to go and if they're selling it for the use of animals, I'm going to go in and look at that dairy, and I'm going to check those teats. And make sure everything's cool before I buy that raw milk that I'm going to get my cat that I might accidentally consume some myself.
Well, you got to make sure. I mean, you can't just feed your cat anything. I mean,
that's right. You got to take care of that barn cat, man.
Yeah.
All right. We got Stu on the line. Is this my friend Stu?
Yeah, George. Good to talk to you this morning.
Stu,
and I just want to ask. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'll let you ask your question, and can we put you on hold and do an information break and come back to you because you're a very special person, and I want to hear everything you have to say. All right?
Okay.
Okay. Well, just hang on, and we'll get with you right after the break. This is, I believe, this is Stu Stevens, and this is this is the first person, Dwayne, and I don't want to make you feel lesser, but this is the first person that I've ever had on for 2 full hours.
Oh, man.
We've only had Congressman Rowe on for an hour and a half, but we have Stu because he's just knowledgeable, just a cool friend, but now that you've brought me steaks, I don't know.
Hey, man, I can do 2 hours.
It is 8:31, and we'll be back with our guest, Dwayne McIntyre, who is the chairman of the Russell County, Virginia Republican Party and a small farmer advocate. Coming up next, George West, Super Talk 92.9. Okay, I'm in trouble. I know I'm in trouble. It is 8:36. George West with you here on this Friday, January 16th. We've got I'm starting to see some blue sky out there, maybe a little even sunshine. It is back up to 34, maybe 30, between 34 and 36 degrees, depending on where you are in the Tri-City area. Okay, I'm in trouble. I said Stu Stevens was the only person I've let on the air with me here for 2 hours in the studio with me, and not twice, but I think 3 times now. My wife Tina has been on all 3 hours, so I just forgot about that. But that, it's family; it's kind of different. Hey, Stu, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, George. Good to talk to you this morning. I hope you're doing well.
I am doing very, very good, and the day just got a little brighter because you called.
Well, miles and miles of legislation has passed between us since we last spoke. So let me get to the milk thing real quick. Milk legislation began with the school system when they indoctrinated and brought into the school the milk program. That's when it became illegal, basically, to sell raw milk. That's when legislation began to control the milk industry because of the public education system and the milk program. Essentially, it was another big power grab by corporations to control the amount of milk, the price of milk, and it's really changed the price and the price fixing of milk from that point on. And of course, that happened, many years ago. And I'm not exactly sure of the date, but it was in the 50s.
Yeah, actually,
or maybe as early as the 40s.
Well, there was an actual.
What's that? Go ahead.
Yeah, there was an actual exemption in the law back in the 40s, and it just kind of disappeared when they rewrote the code in 1950. And so, obviously, the government felt it was all right for people to milk cows, sell them to their neighbors, and then, not by an act of legislation, but by some, people rewriting the code and reformatting it, I guess. It just disappeared. And actually, that's one of the bills we'll be fighting for this year is a reestablishment of that exemption that used to exist in the 40s.
And I say fight for it, brother, big time, because I'm a raw milk drinker. My wife makes quirk and yogurt. And we do everything that Tina advocates and have done that for many years. And, of course, the way that we get around it here we buy our milk out of North Carolina, but, it's on the honor system. You go to the stainless steel tank. The box is on the top. You pay for the milk on the honor system. The milkman is not there. And you rip off the top a little thing called a soap recipe. And as long as you have that soap recipe in the package, or like we take a cooler and we drop that soap recipe down on the inside of the cooler and put our milk in there and bring it home, totally legal.
Yeah.
And so
is that North Carolina?
That's in North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. See,
and actually that'll work anywhere. And I'm really a Virginian, so that'll work anywhere.
Well, see, I think there's two things with that. If the authorities, the state inspectors, which, actually, just to go back real quick, when you opened up with that clip, we're talking, local police, and we support local police and stuff. It's not even the local police coming in with SWAT style. It's the FDA, the USDA. It's the state inspectors.
The feds. It's feds coming in, yeah.
It's not our local sheriff.
Right.
And I guess, I don't know how the process works if you refuse or whatever, but so if those state inspectors catch wind that there is raw milk being sold out of a farm, then the farmer really does run the risk of a SWAT team. And that's kind of what all these SWAT teams, these SWAT raids are based off of, is that the state catches wind that there's transactions going on somehow with milk, and so that farmer definitely runs his risk of that. And then two, this is America. And the sad part is that we're sitting here, all of us, want our, not all of us, but there's a large majority of us that want the food that we want to eat. And here we're drinking pet food, and we're making soap recipes. I mean, that we have to play charades and pretend all this stuff.
Okay, well, one of the
want.
problems that I see what's happened. The government comes in and they want to regulate the milk and tell you what you can buy and can't buy. So then the big farmer comes in and he's got all the regulation and everything. Then the small farmer comes in and says, "But I want to sell my milk." Well, the big farmer doesn't want the competition, so he gives the money in to the legislature and what do you call the guys that give the people money?
Lobbies.
Yeah, the lobbyists. And
the fat cats.
And so the small farmer doesn't have a chance because the lobbyists have come in and with the big farms and the big government, and the little guy doesn't have a chance. And so therefore, I have to buy a cat.
Yeah. So
I can get my milk.
Absolutely. And, when I went to Richmond last year before the Ag Committee, which I'll be going again this year, the Ag Committee, there was over 100 farmers in the room. And this year, there's going to be hundreds. I really think this year's turnout is going to be amazing. But last year, there was a little over 100 farmers, and there was only 5 to 7 fat cats up against the wall. And basically, they told our representatives, how to vote on these bills. They didn't, so the constituents loaded the room, and they just ignored us and just went with these 5 guys who had all the money.
Wow. Well, I want to get back with you. Stu, do you have any more points to make?
Well, I just want to say that, I've had a dairy close on one side of the hill, because, George, I live on the line.
Yeah.
A dairy closed down that was there for 100-plus years, long-time family dairy, know the man very well, and a dairy closed on the Tennessee side for the same exact reason, and that was equipment upgrades and new regulations. So, yes, it is a travesty that you continue to shut down. Of course, that ended jobs for some of the local people that had gone there and worked with these 2 farmers, these 2 family farmers that are long-time, very old, very nostalgic old families from both sides of the fence, both sides of the state line. And, being a conservative and pretty politically active, I just want to tell you that, one of the things that we have to do is we have to continue to show up. We have to continue to press the issue. We have to continue to support the state representatives that stand in our direction.
Absolutely.
We can't just continue to lay down on these issues, because there are a whole lot more things that are coming up do with the farmers' markets and new regulations that are actually in the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, in that 2,700-page maniape of garbage. But there are more things that are coming out. When the farmers' markets begin to open up in the spring of this next year, you're going to see a whole lot of people drop off that won't be able to sell their goods. And I know this for a fact and talked to a lot of people that are involved in that. So, it is a rough scenario for the family farmer. And what it's going to take is those same liberal people who have called for big government are the ones that show up to the farmers' markets to buy organic and all these types of things. They're going to be the ones that hurt too. Remember, when government takes control, not only the conservative, not only the Democrat, not only the Republican, everybody hurts.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
Stu Stevens, thank you very much for calling. And it's about time for us to get together and catch up over lunch or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I'm ready.
Hey,
all right.
Thanks, Stu.
Thank you. Appreciate it. 15 minutes till 9 o'clock. Before we go to our next caller, John, I want you to talk about the Food Freedom Act, what's going on, how people get involved, and just describe that whole scenario.
Okay, well, the Food Freedom Act basically is just a bill here in Virginia that states that any transaction of produced food between 2 adults is unregulated by the government, that 2 adults can buy and sell whatever they want. And it's not just a farmer bill, it's anybody. So whether you're a single mother and you want to start up a small business out of your house while you're raising your own children, or you're a stay-at-home mom and you want to bring extra income into the house, Or if you're an old retired grandmother or grandfather who's cooked all your lives, you got these wonderful traditional recipes and you're just not allowed to sell them because, it's cost too much to do it. All these people can supplement their income. And of course, there's the farmers. Now, the Food Freedom Act is HB129. You can go to virginiafoodfreedom.org. There's a petition on that website that is very important if you guys can come on out and sign that petition. And two, we are getting ready to go before subcommittee here probably within a week or two. Call your delegates and senators. Now, I do know that Delegate Will Moorfield from the 3rd District, he has pledged to co-patron this bill. Delegate Todd Pillion from the 4th District, he is in full support of the food movement, and this bill. And he shops at the farmers market. He's a big food advocate, at least for himself and his family. And, he doesn't seem to have the confidence to co-patron. So, just call, give him the confidence. We definitely could use his co-patronage regardless if he's a freshman delegate or not. And then other than that, I've made a lot of calls to other delegates across the region, across the state, actually. And, I get a lot of ignored calls, a lot of promised callbacks. So if you can, just call your delegates, call your senators, make some noise. The only way we're going to get that bill passed.
And sometimes you feel a little bit lonely in this struggle.
Actually, this year it has been amazing.
It's better.
No clue.
It's gotten better.
I was a lone wolf. I felt like a lone wolf last year.
Okay.
But with all the momentum that bill sparked and the national attention we're getting and the huge events that, like our banquet that we had last year, that was one of maybe about 10 different events.
Great turnout.
Yeah, that was one of the best banquets ever in Russell County. Just a GOP Republican Party banquet. That was top of the line turnout. So we had 191 people show up that night.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking to Dwayne McIntyre this morning, and we're talking about the Food Freedom Act, and this is something that affects you regardless of where you are. And can you stick with us after the show? I want to post the stuff you just talked about, the HB 1290 and the Virginia Food,
absolutely,
the website that you gave us a while ago, and help me put it on the George West Show Facebook page.
Absolutely.
And make sure I got the right thing on there, and I'll post that on there. And so if you forget some of the stuff that Dwayne's telling you, this will remind you. And if you're a Facebooker, you can go to the George West Show and like it on Facebook. And if you're not, we can send you information. I'll get your email, and you can email me, thegeorgewestshow@gmail.com.
Yeah. A lot of people can sign, if they're on Facebook, they can go to and find Virginia Food Freedom. And, we're posting every day. In fact, we're going to Richmond on Monday for Lobby Day. There's going to be a huge turnout. We're having an event around 1 o'clock, and then we're going to go attack all of our maybe
you could find somebody rich like George Soros that gives money for the liberal causes and buses people in. Maybe we could find a conservative to bus people in.
Well, I was hoping maybe to find some time to pull off a busing, donation type of thing, but I couldn't do it. It's I'm still a lone wolf in some regards. So, but maybe. Oh. Yeah.
Okay. We've had John waiting to talk for quite a while, but tell you what, we're going to take a real quick break, John. We'll be right back, and you'll be first in line. 10 minutes till 9 o'clock, George West, Super Talk, 92.9. It's a little bit on the nippy side right now, 32, 33 degrees, depending on where you are in the greater Tri-City area and Southwest Virginia as well. It is 8 minutes till 9 o'clock. Our guest this morning is Dwayne McIntyre. He is the GOP chairman of the Russell County, Virginia Republican Party there, and he is an advocate for the small farmer. We've got John on the phone. John wants to get involved in the conversation. John, what say you this morning?
Good morning, George. Another good topic as usual that you have on here. I was raised in the 50s and 60s and raised dairy farming, working for all the dairy farms as a kid in the neighborhood, and they all were organic because they didn't use steroids, didn't use pesticides, didn't use hormones or anything. They made their own silage, made their own hay and everything, and never sprayed anything, and they were all organic. Fast forward to 1990s, the organic movement got big, and the government, after learning how they could figure out how to regulate milk and farmers, they come forward and then they decide they want to regulate that. So that was nothing but a money deal for organic farmers. organic farmers, because I was one in the 90s through part of 2000, the only way that they can really do it is to not be certified, which you can legally do, and you do what is called a farmer's pledge, and means that you're not going to use pesticides or anything, and no hormones or steroids in your cattle or your pigs or anything, your chickens and stuff, and you are organic. And that gets you off the government. Now, with the labels and stuff that the government is making the farmers put on is a scare tactic, I would guess, saying it's not for human consumption. It's milk from a cow. Look at the regular milk that you buy today in the store. Farmers are getting away from the steroids and hormone, and now they have to put a label on there saying that there's no proof or anything that hormones hurt anything, when you know that there is. They've done the studies, but the government makes them put that on there so they can sell their milk. Here it is another government intrusion to scare people into to do what they want to do, and it's just all totally wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, and interesting part about this organic farming, that everybody was an organic farmer pre-1950, and now that the conventional chemical industry came in and completely changed agriculture to some real synthetic craziness, they get away with they can spray the poisons all over the place. They can do all this stuff, and they don't need to have any kind of labels. They don't need to have any kind of oversight or anything like that. But God forbid you want to go back to organic farming, then you got to have a certification. You got to prove your income and prove this and prove that, and you got to document every ounce of stuff you put on your soil, and you got to get soil samples and all this. I mean, and so they overregulate organic farmers, and meanwhile, all the synthetic chemical farmers are getting a free pass because and here's what they say, and this is the whole milk issue, because they boil it, and it's completely good after that. So that's the godsend, I guess, from the federal government. We boiled it all. Don't worry about it.
There's been some research in the last few years that is connecting with there's a huge rise in kids with asthma, and there's been research that's showing that the reason so many more kids have asthma today and other health problems is because they're not getting the right kind of bacteria in their diet, and simply it would help just to let kids play in the dirt every once in a while. Just get in the dirt, you get the right bacteria. But they're boiling all the proper bacterias out of this raw milk, and then they're adding pesticides. And I believe that the odds of you getting bad nutrition is greater if you buy the pasteurized stuff out of the store.
Yeah. Well, I know that that argument was used against us last year in committee. People stomach their gut flores. People like us who are farmers, we have complex digestive systems, but the food system's so sterilized that normal people can't handle raw milk, so we have to protect them. Well, the whole reason that they are so fragile is because you took away all this good food, and now you got to protect them from it. No, we gotta use common sense. We got to get back to, milk. I can't believe that milk was there from day one for humans.
Right. And the reason you have salmonella and stuff like that is because it's unclean practices and unsafe practices, and the average small farmer is clean.
Because you got 200 cows on 50 acres. It is unimaginable, but it's just a feeding lot. They buy in the food, they ship it in, and they just feed them there, and then they milk them. They don't need grass, they don't need all this thing, but they live in their own crap.
So they have to boil all the good bacteria out. Yep. Let's go to the phone. Sharon. Sharon, what say you this morning? We're about out of time.
Hey. George, I'm from Florida, and I haven't been able to drink milk since 1960s. We had it on our farms in Florida, and I'm lactose intolerant ever since. So it's just crazy. I've been trying all over Tennessee to get milk, and I can't get it because it would take care of my lactose intolerance.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, everybody I've ever met that says they're lactose intolerant, we give them a little bit of milk. You're allowed to give it. See, it's not so bad that you can't give it and people can drink it, but I cannot transact money. So if that shows what exactly the root of the problem is,
follow
it's the
money.
dollar.
Yeah,
it's not the health. It's not really health concern, or they wouldn't allow me to even give out milk.
Sharon, let me add to what you're saying. Tina has she thought that she couldn't eat sour cream, and she started getting organic sour cream, and all of a sudden she can eat sour cream.
Well, the whole thing with the milk is lactose intolerance comes from the molecular change in the pasteurization and the homogenation.
There you go. Sharon, thanks for calling this morning. We're about out of time. And, again, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you personally?
You can email me at chairman@russellcountyvagop.org. Anywhere in that fashion, go to the George West Show on Facebook, and
we'll have it there.
Yeah, I liked, you can find me through all that. I liked the spot you're having today at 8 o'clock. So, I'm available on your page also. But I mean that email, you can get in contact with me. And if, I'm going up to Richmond, Monday is lobby day. If anybody really feels passionate about these issues, come to Richmond Monday. Help us, convince our delegates that they need to get on board.
So you'll make a seat for someone somehow if someone wants to come.
If anybody needs a ride, we got a caravan going. So
okay. All right, Dwayne McIntyre, thank you for coming in this morning and fight the good fight, brother.
Hey, thank you so much, George.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. We're shooting for a high today around 45 degrees, looking pretty good, and tomorrow's high is going to be around 56. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and check in with us on the George West Show Facebook page. See you next week.